We turn now to the asteroid being called a city killer. There's a chance it could hit Earth.
It's happened before. An asteroid hitting Earth, this one in Russia in 2013, injuring more than 1,000 people. Now scientists say an asteroid discovered in December has a chance of striking our planet. It was named 2024 YR4, some calling it a potential city killer. It could hit in late 2032.
We're only looking at about a 3% chance that it hits the Earth. If it hit a city, it would completely obliterate a very large city.
It's up to 300 feet wide, the size of a large building.
If it was to hit, it would have an energy of between about 5 megatons of TNT and about 50 megatons of TNT, which is a very big range. This thing is probably in the range of, call it 1,000 times, 500 to 1,000 times larger than the bomb dropped over Hiroshima.
Astronomers have only a limited time to observe the asteroid before it fades from view.
Next month and in May, the James Webb Space Telescope will take its shot at looking at this object. We'll get a much better idea of its size. Those observations will really pin down its orbit.
In 2028 is when it comes back closer to the Earth. That will be our chance to more than likely say for sure whether or not it's going to hit the Earth.
NASA recently had success using a spacecraft to knock an asteroid off course during a test. Such a mission would need to be done years in advance of a potential impact. For now, scientists don't seem too worried.
There's a pretty good chance that it's going to hit in the ocean or someplace uninhabited, in which case we just get to see a great light show.
We've got ones that can see. Welcome, everyone, to today's show. As you heard, there is the threat of a city killer asteroid that could hit by the year 2032 or in the year 2032. And if you haven't heard about this, they're pushing this all over, not just the mainstream media, the affiliate media, Australian news, all around the Earth right now. These stories are airing about how NASA is claiming that an asteroid is going to hit that's going to be so big, as you heard, that it could wipe out an entire city. And of course they know this 8 years in advance because, well, they make everything up as they go. And they've been conditioning all of us for a long time in believing that asteroids are real and asteroids could really hit and asteroids could do what? Wipe out cities. And even as you heard, one of the people say, well, I'm not too fearful of it because I think what will end up happening is that it might just hit in the middle of the ocean, which of course would create what? A tsunami, which we've seen tons of predictive programming surrounding. So NASA's odds of city-killing asteroid hitting Earth just went up. The highest probability ever of an asteroid hitting. And this all comes from our friends at NASA. NASA, of course, somehow continues to fly under the radar of agencies, especially when you have all of this fake stuff going on with MAGA and Doge and exposing government agencies. It's amazing how there's still these conservatives who think that they're awake, that believe that we went to the moon and the moon landing's fake. And again, that's just because they decide that those are things that are special to them from their childhood, watching the fake moon landing on television. They don't question what NASA really does. NASA's involvement in laundering money for things that, well, are incomprehensible. But of course, NASA, the deceivers, right? Known as NASA, who even have, of course, the serpent's tongue in their logo. And now, in addition to NASA, we also have our Space Force with Donald Trump to build up more trust that all of this nonsense that they're going to create is real. Now, we have the Illuminati card, Meteor Strike. If you're wondering what I'm getting at, I'll get to it in a minute. Because what they're doing is preparing people for an attack. Of course, an attack on their own civilians and blaming it on another boogeyman, this time being a meteor strike. And we've seen some of these ridiculous articles. I often talk about how they must sit in a room and just come up with these things based on who is the most ridiculous concept out of everybody in the room that they could put out through the media that people will read and actually listen to and take it as truth, right? This was a couple of months ago. Asteroid the size of 350 giraffes to fly past Earth this week. I mean, these are articles that are out there on mainstream publications, right? The Weather Channel has them. The Yahoo News has this one. I mean, people read this stuff and they actually like, whoa, did you hear this? An asteroid that says 350 giraffes. They don't for 1 second sit there and go, well, who decided it was the size of, why would they have all the things they could correlate to 350 Giraffes? I mean, huh? I mean, they just make this stuff up as they go. They pump the fear out there and they condition you into accepting it when it happens as being what they tell you it's from, right? So the asteroid that could level a city now has a 3.1% chance of striking the Earth in 2032, according to NASA data released on Tuesday, making it the most threatening space rock ever recorded by modern forecasting. But despite the rising odds, experts say there's no need for alarm. The global astronomical community is closely monitoring the situation, and the James Webb Science Telescope is set to fix its gaze on the object known as 2024 YR4 next month. I'm not panicking yet, says one of the scientists. Naturally, when you see the percentage go up, it doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy and good. He added, but as astronomers gather more data, he explained the probability will likely edge up before rapidly dropping to zero. Well, we'll see, as they've been using this programming on us for a long time. And as we all know, these movies that they put out about, cities being burnt to the ground, Escape from LA, all the predictive programming revolving around Los Angeles, right? Getting completely wiped out. And we'll see more quote unquote fake natural disasters occur there. All the movies with the conditioning of an outbreak. We saw exactly what happened. People were pre-programmed on how to behave during an outbreak, right? All these movies about quarantining and believing the narrative that the news feeds them about monkeys sneezing on airplanes and how it could travel from China to America via a bat, all this stuff. They were conditioned into believing it via all of these predictive programming films, right? And this is another one that has lots of repetition and patterns to it. So an asteroid hitting the ocean is a very common theme in these movies, right? An asteroid striking, like asteroid final impact, right? Destroying an entire city, hitting the ocean, deep impact, right? What's the plot of Deep Impact? A comet is hurtling toward Earth and could mean the end of all human life. The U.S. government keeps the crisis under wraps, but crack reporter Jenny Lerner, I guess Jenny's on crack, uncovers the truth, forcing U.S. President Beck to announce his plan. Grizzled astronaut Tanner, Robert Duvall and his team will land on the comet and lay explosives, hopefully deterring the object from its doomsday course. If not, humanity will have to prepare for the worst. I'm just laughing. I lost my speech there for a second because it just got into my head. I never saw Deep Impact, right? But landing on a comet and putting explosives on an actual comet. I mean, it's comical, right? And you heard the guy in the video that's airing on ABC's nationally talking about how it'd be like detonating TNT. So you're probably saying, okay, so if they're pretending that a comet's coming, what's the point of this? Is to get people scared into hysteria? No. You see, your government, DARPA specifically, has spent billions upon billions of dollars creating these things called directed energy weapons. And of course, they haven't created these directed energy weapons to use in war against other countries because the governments aren't at war with one another. They're at war with the people. These weapons have all been created so that they can come after all of us. So in other words, the US isn't creating directed energy weapons because they have plans to take over Russia or to protect us from China. They've created these things to use on us and then, of course, tell all of us through their lie mainstream media that it's things like comets hitting or forest fires, wildfires, right? We just saw the directed energy weapon in Lahaina, right? Right where they actually have a directed energy weapon on the island of Maui. And what did people do, though? They just said the entire thing was suspicious. They'd never seen steel melt like that. The temperatures would have to be astronomically high. Well, the only thing that could really do that would be a directed energy weapon. Now, we also know that they have smart meters, like we talked about in Los Angeles, that have the capability to burn homes to the ground. But the programming has been in place forever. And this goes back to, the 1930s, 1940s, with wiping out major cities. And if they're going to wipe out a major city in the blink of an eye, well, it's going to be via a directed energy weapon, right? They could do these things airborne. They could do these on satellite balloons. They could do these things offshore. They can have ships sitting offshore, off the coast. Let's just say, hypothetically, it's New York City, right? Because for convenience purposes, it would make more sense if it was New York City, right? People, because the predictive programming is always around LA and New York. And the tsunami programming always shows us New York City underwater, right? So they can use their earthquake machine out in the middle of the ocean if they select to do that, crank that thing up and create a massive tsunami and tell you that a meteor hit. And that's why, right? Or just light the entire city on fire telling you that it's a meteor. But one thing we know is that this technology exists. These laser weapons exist. They program people into what? Hearing these, hearing videos like this and then laughing. That's what they program them into thinking, oh, freaking laser beams, right? Laser beams. The stuff in Austin Powers, all these movies and all these, politicians trying to mock the fact that the government has these directed energy weapons. And then people go, well, what are they using them for? Oh, they're using it to protect us in the event that something happens in the future, right? Yeah, I don't think they're just making these weapons for no reason whatsoever. And clearly, our government does not care about us. In fact, they just poisoned half of the population a couple of years ago. So we know the government is not obviously protecting us. These governments are working against the people. And if they're going to demolish, if they're going to tear down and rebuild, or as they like to say, build back better, well, directed energy weapons are going to be the things that they use. They're going to be able to fly these planes out of sight so high up in the sky that you wouldn't even know, because these things hit in a blink of a second. You wouldn't even be able to realize if it was a meteor or if it was a laser beam, and you've never seen a laser beam with your own eyes. So if you see a laser coming down in a split second, you'll likely think it's a meteor, because guess what? The news will tell you it's a meteor. For anybody out there that's not familiar with directed energy weapons, well, here's a little peek.
Here, secreted away in a hangar, is a revolutionary aircraft. The world's first airborne directed energy weapon, the airborne laser, also known as the ABL. The entire nose section is removed and retrofitted to hold the enormous turret-mounted laser in place. The ABL system is designed to find, track, and destroy an enemy target in the air and on the ground. It can loiter at 40,000 feet for 5 hours and destroy a target 60 miles away in less than a second.
You have only a microsecond to respond, and so the laser is almost instantaneous. The laser itself has a speed of Mach 300,000, so it's 300,000 times faster than if I launch a missile from an aircraft. It will be aircraft at a distance being brought down by laser beams.
The weapon is projected to be combat ready by 2015.
Spends about $1 billion annually developing directed energy weapons, such as high-energy lasers and high-powered microwaves. These weapons can disrupt or destroy their targets at the speed of light. For example, DoD has developed high-energy lasers that have successfully shot down drones, but speed isn't their only advantage. They're also less expensive per use than traditional weapons like guns and missiles. Despite those potential advantages, DoD has had trouble getting these technologies out of the lab and into service. The Army has developed a detailed transition plan to support moving these weapons into the next stages of development. We recommended that the Navy and the Air Force develop similar plans.
Lockheed Martin produces systems that do everything from detect the threats to identify the threats, determine whether it's a threat to the aircraft, and then employs the appropriate weapon, in this case, a laser weapon system.
What we're hearing from our customers is that they need a layered, multi-domain defensive approach that can be integrated across platforms to neutralize these threats across all those domains. Imagine an aircraft equipped with a laser system with the capability to be able to neutralize a threat at the speed of a lightning strike, the precision of a surgical scalpel, with the magazine to deal with a swarm, and with the scalable effect to be able to address that threat, providing an effect all the way to one end from simply deterring it for a short period of time, all the way up to completely neutralizing and defeating that threat.
We were able to integrate our laser weapon system, Athena, into the classified C2 network and receive cues from the radar on the range in order to execute the full kill chain.
The Helios laser weapon system builds on 40 years of combat system engineering and radar excellence. That is a fundamental change for laser weapon systems, which here to date have been prototypes. added to a ship. Helios will be integrated into the ship.
So what's exciting about this technology is that it's scalable. It's lived in the laboratory for many years, but has finally reached the power levels and the effectiveness to allow it to be used on the battlefield. As an example, today's laser weapon systems can be used to defeat rockets, artillery, mortars, and even small UAVs. And as that technology and capability scales, the effectiveness scales with it. We'll be to the point here shortly where we'll be able to defend aircraft against incoming missiles and even reach out over long distances and destroy ballistic missile threats.
Laser weapon systems are earning their way onto the battlefield. Lockheed Martin advancements in the fundamental subsystems, be it beam control, high energy laser, beam direction, power and thermal, is bringing a system-to-system approach to our customers' most challenging problem. Lockheed Martin can bring that end-to-end capability into the theater for the life of our platforms and help defend the brave women and men who boldly go in harm's way to defend our freedom.
So again, all of this stuff that's out there is out there for a reason. They're not just trying to create fear. They've been telling us about asteroids for a long time. Oh, an asteroid might hit Earth, asteroid might hit Earth. One of these times, they're going to simulate and tell you that it's a real event, that an asteroid is actually going to hit. But of course, it's not going to be an actual asteroid. They're preparing you. They're giving you how many years now? 2032. So they're giving you 7 years preparation to get conditioned. Oh, we're going to monitor their asteroid. In a couple months from now, we'll hear more and more. And as if we go to Agenda 2030 and head to 2030, you'll hear more and more and more. And likely it'll be a 7-year conditioning process where in 2032 something does potentially actually occur. We have the predictive programming in movies. We obviously have the meteor strike in the Illuminati card game, which always shows us all the things that are actually going on that nobody ever pays attention to, right? From those 2 towers getting hit, the Pentagon. We can go on and on about the things in the Illuminati card game that have come to light, right? Even the charismatic leader who is now in charge. So pay attention to this story. I'm sure you've probably heard about it. If you haven't, all you got to do is just take a look around. They're putting it on all the mainstream media outlets, which tells you that they want this programming out there because they want people conditioned into thinking about it, right? No one's going to worry about it today, that it's going to hit in 2032. But they keep hearing about it over and over and over again. It'll start growing in their minds. They'll start putting out propaganda about what could be done, prevent this. Maybe it'll go offshore, right? Maybe it'll hit the ocean. Are people going to flee the city, right? It's interesting, though, that they point to this thing hitting a city versus, it's funny enough that they can supposedly see an asteroid coming that's going to hit in 7 years. But the fact that they're saying it's going to be a city killer asteroid, I mean, that's programming in itself. So don't fall for the charade. Remember, the news is not there to inform you. It's to condition you and manipulate you into believing their lies, and that their lies are responsible for any of these catastrophes that occur, whether it's them using weather modification to destroy homes, to create hurricanes, and blaming it on the climate, or them telling you that somewhere like Lahaina could get completely burnt to the ground, yet trees are standing up in the area surrounding the homes, right? Same as Los Angeles are telling you that this has to do with the climate. That's what they do. They make up the boogeymen when they're the ones who are fully responsible. So 2032, ladies and gentlemen, will we see our meteor strike, aka our directed energy weapon, take out a major city? And what city will they pick? Likely with the programming, New York City, because it's been part of the plan for a long time. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.